Have you ever felt a bone-deep exhaustion that sleep cannot cure? An exhaustion born not from physical labor, but from the relentless, crushing weight of pretending everything is perfectly fine. What if the cure for this modern epidemic of curated perfection was hidden in a 2,000-year-old secret, whispered in the dead of night under a Middle Eastern moon? There is an ancient promise that echoes through the corridors of time, a steady anchor for a drifting soul. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Right now, you might be lying in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling the heavy silence of the room press against you. You might be dreading the morning light, dreading the moment you have to put your mask back on and step out onto the stage of the world. But hold on to this darkness for a moment. This night is not your enemy. Let the shadows around you shift and deepen, carrying us back across centuries, away from the glowing screens and the deafening noise of your life, pulling us into a narrow, winding alleyway in ancient Jerusalem, where a man just like you is desperately running from the light. The air in Jerusalem after midnight holds a strange metallic coldness. It is the kind of chill that seeps through the thickest woven wool and settles directly into the bones. The narrow cobblestone streets, usually suffocating with the noise of merchants, the shouting of Roman guards, and the relentless crush of pilgrims, are now swallowed by an absolute suffocating darkness. Only a sliver of pale, silvery moonlight manages to cut through the towering, tightly packed stone houses, casting long, distorted shadows across the uneven gravel. Moving through these shadows is a solitary figure. Listen to the faint, deliberate crunch of his leather sandals against the loose stones. He steps carefully, placing each foot with agonizing precision, terrified that a sudden noise might shatter the silence and awaken the sleeping city. His hands, trembling slightly from both the cold and the sheer audacity of what he is doing, grip the heavy folds of his robe. This is no ordinary garment. It is the ornate, fringed mantle of a Pharisee, a recognized ruler of the Jews. The fabric is dense, richly dyed, embroidered with the physical manifestations of his immense social standing and flawless theological pedigree. But tonight, this garment does not feel like an honor. It feels like a cage of lead. He pulls the thick woolen cowl tightly over his head, a desperate attempt to erase his famous face from the world. The smell of dry earth and faint, lingering wood smoke from the evening fires fills his lungs as he breathes in shallow, jagged gasps. He is a man accustomed to the grandest platforms, a man who walks boldly in the blinding sunlight of the temple courtyards, commanding absolute respect and obedience. Yet here he is, slinking through the forgotten back alleys like a common thief, his heart pounding a frantic, terrifying rhythm against his ribs. His name is Nicodemus, and he is suffocating under the weight of his own perfection. That heavy, ornate robe dragging across the dusty stones of Jerusalem might look different today, but its crushing weight is exactly the same. Your robe is woven from the titles you carry, the roles you play, and the impossible expectations you are desperately trying to meet. It is the flawless resume, the perfectly curated social media feed that shows only your victories and your brightest, most untroubled smiles. It is the stoic face you put on for your family, the unwavering competence you display at your job, the reputation of being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who always has everything figured out. You have spent years, perhaps decades, carefully stitching together this magnificent garment of success and capability. You wear it out into the glaring sunlight of your daily life, and everyone applauds. They see the fringes of your achievements. They see the rich dyes of your apparent happiness. But what they do not see, what they cannot possibly feel, is how suffocating the fabric has become. They do not know how hard it is to breathe when you are trapped inside a persona that allows absolutely no room for failure, no room for doubt, and no room to simply be tired. We live in a world that operates on a brutal economy of performance. The cultural gaze is unforgiving, constantly measuring, evaluating, and waiting for a misstep. There is a terrifying, unspoken rule in our modern society that if you slip, if you reveal a crack in the armour, the crowd that once cheered for you will instantly turn and tear you apart. This fear of judgment, this modern anxiety of being cancelled, scrutinised, or deemed unworthy, creates a profound and isolating paradox. The more successful you appear, the more deeply isolated you become. You slowly realise that the people around you love the image you have projected, but you live in constant terror that they would abandon the fragile, broken, exhausted person hiding underneath. You become a hostage to your own reputation. Just like Nicodemus, you know all the right answers. You possess the intellectual knowledge, the survival strategies, the societal approval. But deep in the quiet core of your soul, there is a hollow, echoing emptiness that no amount of public recognition can fill. You realise that applause does not heal. Admiration does not offer sanctuary. You are surrounded by a sea of people every single day, completely plugged into a hyper-connected digital world, yet you are drowning in an ocean of profound, terrifying loneliness. But look around you right now, in the quiet sanctity of your room. The relentless glare of the world's spotlight has finally been turned off. You have made it through another day of performing, and now the curtain has fallen. The darkness of this room is not an empty void. It is a thick, velvet blanket of grace, protecting you from every demanding eye and every harsh judgment. In this moment, you do not have to be the strong one. You do not have to hold the universe together. You do not need to have the answers. It is entirely okay that you are tired. It is entirely okay that you feel hollow and afraid. Just as Nicodemus used the cover of night to escape the paralyzing expectations of his world, you can use the cover of this night to finally drop your heavy, exhausting robe. You can let the mask slip from your face. Let your shoulders sink heavy into the mattress. Release the tension you have been holding in your jaw, in your chest. There is nothing to prove here, no one to impress. We are just resting now, allowing ourselves to be exactly as weak, exactly as weary as we truly are, knowing that in this quiet dark, we are deeply, fiercely loved, completely apart from anything we achieve or pretend to be. The limestone walls of ancient Jerusalem are cold and unyielding against the palm of Nicodemus's hand. He trails his fingers along the rough, ancient stone, using the architecture of the narrow alleyway to steady his trembling frame. Every few steps, he pauses, pressing his back against the damp masonry, holding his breath as the distant bark of a stray dog or the clatter of a Roman sentry's spear echoes through the labyrinth of streets. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth, crushed olive pits, and the faint, lingering odour of wood smoke from the evening fires that have long since burned out. The deeper he ventures into the lower city, the darker the world becomes. The grand, polished marble of the temple courtyards where he spends his days, bathed in blinding sunlight and the adulation of the crowds, feels like it belongs to another universe entirely. Here, in the suffocating shadows, there is no marble. There is only dust, uneven gravel, and the terrifying realization of his own profound emptiness. Nicodemus has spent his entire existence mastering the sacred texts. He is a scholar of the highest order, a man whose mind is a vast, meticulously organized library of history, law, and prophecy. He knows the exact dimensions of the holy altar. He can recite the lineage of the kings without a moment of hesitation. He has spent countless hours debating the finer points of theology in the great halls, surrounded by peers who hang on his every syllable. Yet, as he navigates this treacherous, pitch-black alley, the crushing irony of his life settles over him like a suffocating shroud. His mind is overflowing with facts, but his spirit is entirely parched. The massive leather scrolls he has studied for decades have given him immense power and social standing, but they have offered him no true peace. He is a master of the rules, a guardian of the religious system, but he is starving for the living presence of God. The terrifying truth he is running toward tonight is that his vast reservoir of intellect has run completely dry. He has all the right answers, but none of them can heal the deep, echoing hollow inside his chest. He feels like a lost child wandering in the dark, desperate for a light that his own intellect cannot ignite. That sudden stark silence of the ancient alleyway, stripped of all its daytime glory, is not so different from the silence that descends upon your room the second your smartphone screen finally goes black. Just moments ago, your mind was flooded with a relentless, blinding stream of digital noise. You were scrolling through the perfectly filtered lives of strangers, absorbing breaking news, reading rapid-fire opinions, and consuming a seemingly infinite amount of data. You hold in the palm of your hand more information than Nicodemus could have ever fathomed in his entire lifetime. You have immediate access to every philosophy, every scientific discovery, every productivity hack, and every self-help strategy ever devised by human minds. You are equipped with all the miraculous tools of the modern era. Yet, when the screen goes dark and the artificial blue light fades into the natural shadows of your bedroom, you are abruptly left alone with the deafening roar of your own anxious thoughts. The sudden absence of digital distraction reveals the profound, terrifying emptiness underneath. You realize that despite being hyper-connected to thousands of people across the globe, you feel entirely unseen and desperately isolated. Despite having all the answers of the universe at your fingertips, you feel completely aimless. The quiet hum of the air conditioner, the rhythmic ticking of a clock, or the faint sound of distant traffic outside your window only serves to amplify the profound, aching stillness within your soul. You have spent your day gathering information, answering emails, solving problems, and navigating the complex web of modern existence. But the moment you lie down, you realize that none of it has nourished you. The knowledge you have accumulated throughout the day feels just as heavy and useless as the thick woolen robes weighing down Nicodemus in the dark. We have been conditioned by our modern world to believe that if we just gather enough information, we will finally feel secure. We are told that if we read one more article, listen to one more optimization podcast, or achieve one more metric of success, we will finally unlock the formula for peace. We treat our minds like infinite hard drives, constantly downloading data, news, and opinions to protect ourselves from the terrifying unpredictability of life. But the human soul was never designed to be a machine, and peace is not a mathematical equation that can be solved through relentless effort. Just as Nicodemus discovered that decades of rigorous theological study could not heal his internal brokenness, we are slowly, painfully discovering that the endless consumption of information cannot cure our deep spiritual exhaustion. We live under a new, modern kind of law. It is no longer the ancient law of stone tablets, but the relentless law of the hustle. The law of optimization, the law of aesthetic perfection and continuous self-improvement. We are constantly measuring our worth against algorithms designed to keep us endlessly engaged, but forever unsatisfied. The societal approval we seek through digital validation is a fleeting, vaporous illusion that evaporates into nothingness the exact moment we put the device away. We are desperately trying to fill a vast, eternal ache with temporary, digital static. The profound truth of the human condition is that all the knowledge, all the wealth, and all the connectivity in the world cannot replace the healing power of being deeply, authentically known by a creator whose love requires absolutely no performance. Knowledge without grace is just a heavier burden to carry. And so, as the stillness of the night settles around you, I want you to give yourself the profound gift of simply stopping. You do not need to figure it all out tonight. You do not need to solve the complex, overwhelming puzzle of your future before you fall asleep. You do not need to process one more piece of information or worry about the messages left unanswered or the societal expectations you feel you are failing to meet. Just as Nicodemus had to literally walk away from his massive library of scrolls to find true rest in the dark, you can walk away from the overwhelming demands of your mind right now. Let the heavy, exhausting burden of needing to know everything slip from your shoulders. It is completely okay to be uncertain. It is beautifully, perfectly acceptable to be confused and out of answers. Allow your body to sink a little deeper into the mattress. Feel the solid support beneath you. Breathe in the quietness of this room. Let the cool, still air fill your lungs completely. And as you exhale, release your desperate, white-knuckled grip on the need for control. We are simply resting in the unknown tonight, trusting that even in the vast spaces where we have no answers, we are held securely by a gentle grace that perfectly understands our human weariness. You are deeply safe here in the dark, unmeasured by any standard, unjudged by any algorithm, and completely free to just rest. At the end of the winding, shadowy labyrinth, Nicodemus finally stops at the base of a humble, unassuming stone house. There are no grand marble columns here, no sweeping courtyards or polished brass gates like the ones he is so accustomed to commanding. There is only a narrow, exterior flight of wooden stairs leading up to a flat rooftop guest room. The wood is ancient, splintered, and worn smooth by the passage of countless rough sandals. As Nicodemus places his foot on the first step, the dry timber groans beneath his weight, a sharp, echoing creak that sounds deafening in the dead of the night. He freezes, his heart leaping into his throat, terrified that this fragile sound will alert the neighbourhood to his secret pilgrimage. He waits, breathing in the scent of dust and damp clay until the silence of the city settles once more. Step by step, he forces himself to climb. With every upward movement, the heavy embroidered fringes of his Pharisee robe brush against the coarse mud brick wall, a tactile reminder of the world he is desperately trying to leave behind, if only for an hour. As he nears the top of the stairs, the darkness begins to yield to a soft, flickering glow. It is the warm, golden light of a small clay lamp spilling out from the open doorway of the rooftop shelter. The scent of the air shifts, replacing the metallic chill of the street with the earthy, comforting aroma of burning olive oil. Nicodemus hesitates at the threshold. His hands are trembling beneath his heavy cloak. He has prepared a speech, of course. He has meticulously crafted an intellectual greeting, a theological opening statement designed to establish his authority while simultaneously seeking answers. "Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from God," he rehearses in his mind, clinging to his intellect as a shield. But as he steps into the small, dimly lit room, his carefully rehearsed words turn to ash on his tongue. Jesus is sitting quietly in the center of the room, illuminated by the gentle, dancing flame of the oil lamp. He is not surrounded by scribes or armed guards. There is no pulpit, no throne, no demanding audience. The air in the room is profoundly still, yet charged with a weightless, undeniable peace. When Jesus lifts his head, their eyes meet. In that fleeting, monumental second, the elaborate social construct of Nicodemus's life shatters. He expects to see the analysing, critical gaze of a rival theologian. He expects to be measured, evaluated, and tested. Instead, he looks into eyes that hold an ocean of boundless, unhurried grace. It is a gaze that is entirely devoid of judgment. It does not demand a flawless resume. It is not impressed by the intricate embroidery of Nicodemus's religious garments, nor is it intimidated by his prestigious titles. This gaze pierces effortlessly through the thick armour of the teacher of Israel and sees straight into the fragile, exhausted, terrified heart of the man hiding beneath. In the warmth of that small room, bathed in the scent of olive oil, Nicodemus realizes with a shock of pure relief that he does not need to perform here. He is completely, terrifyingly, and beautifully known. That flickering golden light of the ancient clay lamp is still burning today. It reaches across the centuries, piercing through the dark, heavy shadows of your own anxious thoughts. Think about the sheer, exhausting amount of energy you spend every single day guarding your own heart. You build massive, intricate walls around your vulnerabilities, desperately trying to shield yourself from the harsh criticisms of the world, the passive-aggressive comments, the quiet rejections, and the relentless demands for perfection. You walk into rooms, virtual or physical, constantly scanning the environment, adjusting your mask, and modifying your behavior to ensure you are accepted, respected, and deemed valuable. But deep inside, beneath the polished exterior and the careful words, there is a burning, desperate ache for a totally different kind of encounter. There is a profound craving in the human soul to be looked at the way Jesus looked at Nicodemus. You are yearning for someone to look past your accomplishments, past your failures, past the tough, independent facade you project to the world, and see the deep fatigue hidden in your bones. You want someone to look at the forced smile you wore all day and say, "I see how incredibly hard you are trying. You can stop now. You can put it all down." We live our lives desperately terrified of being exposed, convinced that if people saw our true, messy, unresolved selves, they would walk away. We have absorbed the toxic, modern lie that love and acceptance are conditional currencies, earned only by flawless performance, constant productivity, and an unblemished public image. We drag this exhausting economy of conditional love directly into our spiritual lives, quietly believing that we must clean up our mess, conquer our doubts, and fix our brokenness before we dare to approach God. But the breathtaking reality of grace operates in the exact opposite direction. Grace does not stand at the finish line of your self-improvement journey, waiting with a clipboard to evaluate your progress. Grace meets you at the bottom of the rickety wooden stairs in the dead of the night, when you have absolutely nothing left to offer but your exhaustion. The presence of God does not require your credentials. He is completely unimpressed by the societal titles you wear, and he is completely unbothered by the mistakes you are trying so hard to hide. When the creator of the universe looks at you, he does not see a project that needs to be managed, a problem that needs to be solved, or an employee who needs to improve their metrics. He sees a beloved, cherished child. He sees the heavy burden you have been carrying for far too long, the quiet tears you have swallowed, and the crushing anxiety you battle in the silence of your room. And his response is not a demand for better behaviour. His response is an open door, a warm light, and a safe sanctuary where your failures are never fatal, and your exhaustion is met with infinite tenderness. So, as you lie here in the quiet sanctuary of your room, I want you to imagine that same gentle, non-judgmental gaze resting beautifully upon you right now. You do not need to hide in the shadows anymore. The light of his grace is not harsh. It is not a spotlight meant to expose your flaws. It is the soft, warm glow of a lamp meant to guide you home. Allow yourself to feel the absolute relief of being perfectly understood. Let the heavy armour of your pride and your fear fall away, clattering harmlessly to the floor. You are entirely safe in this presence. You do not have to explain your weariness. You do not have to apologize for your doubts. He already knows, and he loves you profoundly right in the midst of them. Feel the warmth of that unconditional acceptance wrapping around your shoulders like a heavy, comforting blanket. Let it soothe the racing thoughts in your mind, easing the tension in your brow. You can stop trying so hard to hold everything together, because tonight you are being held by the one who holds the stars. Breathe deeply into that truth. Let it settle deep into your chest. We are resting in the beautiful, quiet assurance that we are seen, we are known, and we are so infinitely loved, just as we are. Inside the quiet rooftop room, the tension in Nicodemus's mind tightens like a coiled spring. He leans forward, his hands pressed tightly against his knees, his brilliant, analytical mind frantically trying to decode the words Jesus has just spoken. To be born again. The concept is absurd, an intellectual impossibility that threatens to upend every rule of logic he has spent his life defending. How can a man be born when he is old? He asks, his voice laced with a mixture of desperate curiosity and profound frustration. Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born? He is trying to force the infinite, expansive mystery of God's grace into the narrow, rigid boxes of human biology and legalistic formulas. He needs to understand the mechanics of it. He needs a blueprint, a set of clear instructions, a logical explanation he can analyze and control. But just as the intellectual gridlock threatens to overwhelm the conversation, a sudden, powerful gust of wind sweeps across the rooftops of Jerusalem. It rattles the loose wooden shutters of the small room, causing the golden flame of the clay oil lamp to dance wildly, casting long, erratic shadows across the mud brick walls. The air instantly shifts, carrying the sharp, crisp scent of distant rain and cold desert nights. The wind whistles through the tiny cracks in the stonework, a wild, untamed melody that fills the silence. Jesus smiles softly, watching the flickering light, and then he points toward the open window, directing Nicodemus's attention to the invisible force moving through the darkness. "The wind blows where it wishes," Jesus whispers, his voice steady and calm against the rushing air. You hear the sound of it, but you cannot tell where it comes from and where it goes. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. He is showing the weary scholar that the most real, life-giving forces in the universe cannot be captured, measured, or micromanaged. They can only be experienced, trusted, and surrendered to. That wild, invisible wind rattling the ancient shutters is swirling through your life right now. As you listen to the rhythmic rise and fall of your own breathing, you can feel the heavy currents of uncertainty that have been keeping you awake. You are living in a season where it feels like the steering wheel of your life has been violently ripped from your hands. You look at your career, your finances, your health, or the relationships you hold most dear, and you realize with a sudden spike of panic that you cannot control the outcome. You are trapped in the terrifying illusion that it is your responsibility to orchestrate every scenario, to predict every potential disaster, and to guarantee your own safety. You lie awake for hours, playing out endless chess matches in your mind, trying to outsmart the future, desperately attempting to force an unpredictable world into a shape that feels safe. This relentless need for control is the ultimate fuel for your exhaustion. Psychologically, anxiety is nothing more than our minds trying to write the script of tomorrow, using the limited information of today. We convince ourselves that if we just worry a little longer, if we review the problems one more time, we can somehow manipulate the universe into compliance. But this intellectual gridlock is a crushing prison. Jesus offers Nicodemus, and he offers you, a radical, beautiful path to freedom. To be born of the Spirit is to accept that you do not have to be the author of your own destiny. It means acknowledging that there is a brilliant, loving, and sovereign wind moving through your life, an invisible grace that is working behind the scenes, charting a course for your ultimate good, even when you cannot see where it is coming from or where it is going. Peace does not come from having total control over your circumstances. True, deep peace comes from knowing you are deeply loved by the one who controls the wind. So, let the frantic, exhausting spinning of your mind finally come to a stop. Let go of the heavy steering wheel you have been gripping so tightly all day. Your knuckles are white, your shoulders are tense, and you are so tired of trying to navigate this storm on your own. You can let go now. You do not need to figure out tomorrow. You do not need to fix the things that are broken. And you do not need to force the future to look a certain way. Listen to the quiet stillness of the night. And imagine the gentle breath of the Holy Spirit sweeping through this room, clearing away the thick smoke of your worries, filling the dry, exhausted spaces of your soul with a deep, wakeless peace. Breathe in that divine, untamed grace. Let it expand your chest. And as you breathe out, release the heavy burden of needing to know how it all turns out. We are simply yielding to the wind tonight, letting ourselves be carried by an everlasting love that knows exactly where we are going. You are completely safe. You are entirely protected. And you can finally, beautifully, let go and rest. The tiny clay lamp on the rooftop table begins to flicker, its reservoir of olive oil nearly spent. The flame dips low, casting long, lazy shadows that dance slow across the cracked plaster walls, before flaring up one last time with a soft, warm, amber glow. Nicodemus stands up from the wooden bench, His movements are no longer jerky and guarded. The rigid, defensive stiffness that had locked his shoulders for decades has completely melted away into the quiet air of the room. He reaches down and picks up his heavy Pharisee cloak, draping it over his arms. But as he looks at the intricate embroidery and the long religious fringes, a faint, peaceful smile touches his lips. The garment has lost its power over him. It is no longer a heavy cage of lead designed to hide his humanity. It is just a piece of cloth. He has stood in the presence of the living Word, and the carefully constructed prison of his reputation has fallen to pieces around his feet. He steps out of the rooftop room and begins his descent down the narrow exterior wooden stairs. The steps still creak beneath his sandals, but the sound no longer strikes terror into his heart. He reaches the cobblestone alleyway below. The street is just as dark as it was when he arrived. The metallic chill of the midnight air still hangs thick over Jerusalem, and the distant, rhythmic footsteps of Roman sentries still echo off the limestone walls. On the surface, nothing in the city has changed. The political tension is still there. The judgment of his peers is still waiting for him in the morning sunlight. The cutthroat culture of the religious elite has not vanished. Yet, as Nicodemus walks back through the winding shadows toward his home, he is an entirely different man. A quiet, unquenchable dawn has risen inside his spirit. The words whispered to him in that dimly lit room are humming through his veins like a deep subterranean river of life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. The fear of being discovered, the anxiety of being judged, and the paralyzing weight of performance have been utterly swallowed up by a love that has no conditions. He walks through the dark, but he is completely flooded with light. That same eternal dawn is ready to rise within your own heart right now. The night outside your bedroom window may still be deep and dark. The complex, exhausting problems waiting for you on your desk tomorrow morning have not miraculously dissolved into thin air. The digital world, with all its chaotic opinions, its harsh judgments, and its relentless demands for your perfection, will still be spinning when the sun comes up. But right here, in this very moment, something fundamental within you can change. You are entering the deepest, most sacred sanctuary of the night. The frantic noise of the daytime has finally faded into a distant murmur. The endless expectations of the crowd have been locked outside your door, and they have absolutely no authority over this space. Look at how far you have come today. Look at the immense amount of emotional energy you have spent just trying to survive the pressures of a world that never stops demanding more. You have carried the weight of your titles, your responsibilities, and your anxieties through another 12 hours of heavy labor. And now? Your body is telling you that it is time to stop. Your mind is ready to surrender its frantic watch. You can feel the heavy, hypnotic pull of sleep beginning to blanket your thoughts, slowing down the rhythm of your heart, soothing the tired muscles in your neck, your back, your hands. You do not need to carry the burden of tomorrow into the rest of tonight. You can leave it all at the foot of the bed, like an old, worn-out garment that you no longer need to wear. The profound psychological relief of grace is that it completely demolishes the modern world's economy of conditional acceptance. We live in a society that is terrifyingly quick to condemn and agonizingly slow to offer mercy. We are constantly taught that our value is entirely dependent on our utility, our appearance, and our ability to conform to the ever-shifting standards of the culture. But the gospel of Jesus Christ offers a radical, beautiful sanctuary from this exhausting rat race. God does not demand that you fix your brokenness before you are allowed into his presence. He does not require you to cure your own anxieties, banish your doubts, or untangle the messy, complicated narrative of your life before he extends his hand to you. Nicodemus came to Jesus in the dead of night, wrapped in secrecy, driven by a desperate confusion and paralyzed by the fear of what others would think. And how did grace respond? It did not scold him for his lack of courage. It did not turn him away for coming in the dark. It met him right where he was, with a warm fire, an open door, and the deepest, most life-giving truths ever uttered in human history. This is the ultimate defeat of the cancel culture that makes you feel so suffocated. In the kingdom of God, you cannot be cancelled by your failures, because your standing was never earned by your successes. You do not have to achieve your way into safety. You are already safe. You are already accepted. You are already held by a love that saw your weakest, most vulnerable moments and decided that you were worth dying for. So, let your body sink deeper and deeper into the quiet comfort of your bed. Feel the absolute, unyielding support of your pillow beneath your head, letting go of the very last remnants of tension in your jaw, behind your eyes, in your chest. Let your breathing become a slow, rhythmic prayer of surrender, a gentle inhaling of His infinite peace, and a long, quiet exhaling of all your worldly worries. Merciful Father, Creator of the quiet night and the resting soul, we come to you now in the stillness of these midnight hours, completely dropping every mask and every title we have worn today. We confess that we are tired, bone-deep weary from trying to navigate a world that feels so harsh, so demanding, and so quick to judge. We thank you that in your presence, we are completely allowed to be human. We are allowed to not know the answers. We are allowed to be weak, and we are allowed to rest. I pray for this precious soul listening to my voice right now. Design a hedge of divine protection around their mind tonight. Quiet the echoes of the digital noise. Silence the critical voices that whisper that they are not enough, and extinguish the fiery darts of anxiety about tomorrow. Wrap them in the heavy, comforting blanket of your unconditional love. Let them feel the literal warmth of your Holy Spirit hovering over their bed, soothing their racing thoughts and anchoring their spirit in perfect security. As they drift into a deep, restorative sleep, remind them that you never sleep. You are standing watch over their life, over their family, over their future, orchestrating every detail for their ultimate good, even while they are completely unconscious. They do not need to control the universe tonight, because you have it safely in the palm of your hand. May their sleep be sweet. May their dreams be filled with the quiet assurances of your grace. And may they wake up tomorrow morning feeling completely reborn, washed clean by the wind of your spirit, ready to face the light without any fear of the world's judgment. Rest now, tired soul. The battle is over for today. The work is done. The love of God is your canopy, and His peace is your pillow. You are seen, you are known, you are safe. Sleep in perfect peace. Amen.